Nick, welcome to the podcast, man. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here. How's everything going with you?
It's busy. It's really, really busy. We've had some really cool guests recently. We were at the Red Bull F1 factory. We had the Sim Racing Expo in Germany. It's been a real pleasure. I get to talk to people like yourselves about sim racing, which is it's kind of what I get up for. So no complaints.
Hey, I saw some of the Sim Racing Expo stuff, and it looked really, really cool. There was just like, I've never been myself. You'll have to tell me. But is it just like a mecca for like sim racing nerds?
Yeah, that is probably the most.
It looks incredible.
Yeah, that is definitely the most succinct way of putting it. It's exactly that. It is a mecca. Every sim racer once in their life has to commit Hajj and go to the Sim Racing Expo. In this case, in Dortmund. It's going to be in Dortmund, and it was Nuremberg.
Very cool.
And equipment, right? So everyone from Asetek and Fanatec, you had track racer rigs there, next level racing rigs. You had motion rigs. You had
cool.
Vario with the VR headsets. Like it's a
basically
lot of fun.
Very expensive.
Yes, there was no Thrustmaster, no Logitech, no Moser, no Simagic. So you didn't really have that entry level. It was kind of because it was so hardware focused. It was kind of like if you have a rig and once you're on that ladder, you can never get off. Once you start sliding down the slope, it gets just more expensive, right? So it felt very much like it was an expo focused at upgrades. And you know what? You didn't do this on purpose, but this is a perfect segue. And all segues are best when you kind of, acknowledge them as you're making it.
Point them out, obviously.
Yes, you have to point them out, right?
Yeah.
I just need that kind of that self. What am I doing? I'm self-complimenting my hosting abilities, which, as you can tell, are incredible. Okay, I'm going to stop now. So, as always, did a lot of research on your channel, AR12 Gaming, and I went all the way back to the beginning, like 12 years ago, it says, right, on your your first videos. And let's start with setup. So people who've listened to this podcast before know there's a few things I always like to ask every guest. And since we're talking hardware, that tends to be the first things. Now, I looked at, I think it's your third video. I think you did two Forza Horizon 4 videos, and then it was like, my setup, and it was essentially like a cathode ray tube TV on a coffee table with like a laptop next to it, and then a wheel that I could not make out behind it. So tell us about your first setup.
Okay, so if you went really far back on the AR12 channel, you've probably been misled.
Oh,
because this isn't my first channel. Throughout my time, I've had 10, maybe more channels that I've made.
Concurrent or one after the other?
Well, when I started
out 12 years ago.
Yeah, it was like concurrent back then.
Okay.
I was just kind of making channels for the fun of it, right? Back when YouTube started, nobody made money or anything, so I was just making channels and uploading videos because it was fun, right? And anyways, long story short, similar thing before. And I eventually transitioned to AR12 in 2012. And yes, you probably found that original setup video, which was probably one of the first ones I made. But yeah, that wheel was a Thrustmaster something Ferrari 458.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was called, but I think it was a 458 on one of those. I don't even know if they still exist. They're like wheel stand pros.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if they still exist, but
there's a few iterations of them now.
Okay, yeah. So it was on one of those. Actually, before that, we got to go back. That wasn't my first wheel.
Okay, let's go all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah. We got to go further back than that. You've just reminded me, now that you're saying that. My first ever wheel was the Microsoft Xbox 360 wheel.
Okay.
And I had always been like a fan of car games and stuff, right? And I was in the States with my parents. I must have been 12, 13. And I was always a fan of cars, and everyone like my age grew up with those little terrible Wii steering wheel things. They were awful.
Terrible.
Very fun. Yeah. Very fun. Completely uncontrollable. And I was like, well, I want to get like the next step of that, which was the Microsoft wheel back in the day when they made their own racing wheels.
Yeah.
And it was designed in such a way where you could put it on your lap and race with it.
Right, I remember because I had one from. So there's a shop in England that you won't have heard of called Argos, and Argos, the
Yeah,
Christmas
yeah, of
catalog is
course.
like okay, right, okay, right. So
Yeah.
iconic, right? The Argos Christmas catalog,
Yep.
huge. And I remember getting a wheel when I was playing Tokka 2, right? So one of the old
Okay.
like TCR essentially games,
Yeah.
right? And I remember the wheel was essentially like a rubber band, so there was no
Yeah.
force feedback. It just like bounced back to the center, but it had like these two little curved things, so you could put them on your knees when you
Yeah.
drove.
It was so cool. It was
How far
so
we've
cool
come.
back then. Oh, I wish I think my parents might have that wheel. I'd have to look. I'd have to whip it out of storage somewhere. But that was the first racing wheel. Then I guess I must have bought a Thrustmaster 458 wheel and put it on a Wheel Stand Pro
Mm-hmm.
and then used that for a while. And then that was kind of at the same time my YouTube channel was kind of going up. And
Yeah.
then after that, it was just companies sending me wheels upon wheels.
So your first few videos. Now, I don't know how much of this is an effect of the channel subsequently getting massive and people going back to see what the original videos were, but even your first 10 videos, they've all got somewhere between like 50,000 views up to 400,000 views. Some of those. Now, how long did it take to get there? Was this like an instant success? You just said that when you had that set up, your YouTube channel was growing, or do you think people have gone and essentially gone and watched the back catalog?
Probably a mix of both. But like as like I was saying, right? I've had so many channels throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
It was more a throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, right? And the first YouTube channel I made kind of stuck. Things just kind of did well and was getting maybe 10,000 views or so. And I was like, "Oh, this is cool. Like I just have fun with it, like uploading videos and replying to comments and stuff." And that channel phased out. Then I made another one, gaming focused. And then that's when all of the racing stuff started. And yeah, then it just kept going in that direction. And then ditched that channel and made AR12. So there was already like an established following, I think of like 3, 4, 5,000 subscribers or something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, "Hey, I'm leaving this channel. We're going to a new one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the new one." And then ever since then, never looked back.
And the migration happened.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed again, and I don't know if this is intentional, but every single one of your videos is racing, car, or motorsport related, except for one.
Oh,
There is one ice hockey video
yep.
right
Yep.
at the beginning. So did you start off thinking AR12, nice generic name, could do anything, but then just at some point was like, I've done 20 videos and 19 are about racing. Maybe I should stick with that.
So that's what my old channel was. My old channel was just throw everything at the wall. Like I'm opening up
Mm.
my YouTube channel right now, my second monitor.
So it
And
will take you about 10 minutes to scroll to the bottom, as I found.
so I think there's like 4,000 videos on my channel
Mm-hmm.
that you can see. That's a bit
Yeah.
of a lie. There's probably like 5,000 or so. Probably 1,000 of them are private. So there are many more of those hockey videos that you just can't see.
Okay.
That have been privated and whatnot throughout the years. But yeah, I liked cars. I played a lot of car games growing up, and I played a lot of sports games growing up. So I was like, I'm just gonna upload these. I have videos on one of those older channels on like Assassin's Creed and Far Cry. Just what I had fun with, right? I've never considered myself a car YouTuber. I don't
That's very
consider myself a
interesting.
sim racer. I don't consider myself anything of those. The way I always think of it is just I upload a video every day on something that I find fun. And I just happen to really like cars. If you speak to me in person, I could talk to you about cars for probably days. It would be really boring, but I could.
Well, clearly not, because there's a lot of people watching those videos. So that kind of leads me to a question I was just thinking about. There is you really come across, and obviously we've spoken a couple of times now. You really come across somebody who did it for the enjoyment first, and then have seen the opportunity to be able to kind of support yourselves by doing something you
Oh
enjoy.
yeah.
But what do you enjoy most? Is it the games, or is it the creation of the content?
Uh, both.
Okay, that
Like
seems
I love
healthy.
games. But I kind of treat games as my job, sort of, kind of, or at least racing games, sort of, kind of, is my job. I'll very rarely play any form of car game when I'm not filming, for the simple
Mm,
fact that I want to almost artificially restrict myself from those games. So my desire is always to play them more, right? Like when a new Forza comes out, when Assetto Corsa comes out, when whatever comes out, you always want to play those games, right? When they're fresh, you want to jump in and play them
yeah.
a whole bunch.
Yeah, you want the first reaction video to actually be your first reaction, I guess, because
Exactly,
then you don't
right?
have to be a good actor. You can just be
Yeah, you don't have to
yourself.
fake it. Like
Yeah,
even the other night, I was like, I really just want to go and do a Forza race just online while I'm sitting on the couch. Like that'd be a lot of fun. But I just went, no, I'm just not going to, because I want to keep that desire so like fresh and ingrained in me that I'll just not play them and do it on stream or do it on a video.
it's basically the polar opposite of nearly everyone else in the world, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
wait, if I'm at work, I'm playing games and it's racing games. But when I'm not working, I don't want to play racing games. I still need to sort of relax and play other games. So what other games do you play to get away from racing?
So recently I've been playing a lot of Microsoft Flight Simulator. I really
Right.
enjoy that.
Here we go.
Mega game.
Yeah.
As we're recording this, it is October 25th. I don't know when this is going to come out, but
This
City
Sunday.
Skylines 2
Yes.
just came out yesterday, and I've downloaded that, even though I've heard it's mixed reviews, but the old one was one of my favorites, so very excited to jump on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably
simulation
not
then.
what you expected from
Well,
sim racing YouTuber man.
actually, having now spoken to, I don't know, 3-4 dozen streamers, YouTubers, esports drivers, there is a
Yep.
theme. And there's two
Okay.
themes that I've identified, right? One I've spoken about on the podcast before, one I haven't. And the one that I have spoken about is there seems to be an affinity with sim racing and flight sims. Now, there's an obvious connection there. They're both simulators, right? But there's so many people I know who sim race and either want to get into flight sims or do. So at the Sim Racing Expo, for example, there were a couple of stands where it was a Sim Racing Expo, but they also were showing off their flight rigs.
Oh,
Whilst they were
mega!
there, right? Because it's the same cockpit, and that I went on one. I was flying this little like Cessna around on a motion cockpit.
Oh, so
with,
cool.
Yeah, with like the wraparound screen, and it had the yoke, and like, and I'm one of those. I sit in the category of I really really want to get into flight sims. I'm at the moment. I think the last week I've gone between, do I buy the Thrustmaster Warthog, or do I go Verpal or VKB? Like which level do I want to start at? Do I want to just dabble, or do I just want to go all the way in? And if I dabble and I like it, then I'm going to waste that. Anyway, so this is I'll stop, because it's funny that there's so many people that I know who sim race, who either do flight sims or watch a lot of flight sim content with a view to starting themselves.
Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected that. Like for me, I was actually just talking about it on a recent video I made. I just, like, as much as I like cars, it's not cars that I like. It's just things that move. I like vehicles.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I would love to do a series at some point where I go into the real world and I just try different jobs. I'd love to drive like a big 18-wheeler, forklifts, tractors. I don't know, like those big excavators and stuff. Like, I don't know. It seems cool to me.
Well, it is. It's totally cool, and you're totally preaching to the converted. Like we had my girlfriend mocks me because she says I'm collecting licenses, right? So I have a license to drive a ship, whether that's warship, add civilian. And I've got I've just done my motorbike license. I've got a car license, and I'm gliding at the weekend to try and get my pilot's license. She's like, you don't have to just complete everything, right? You don't need to do it. Don't do it. But I feel like
that's
you're kind of the
cool.
Same. And then sim racing and flight sims, it's that appreciation of physics based.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say transport, but that makes it sound really boring. Just things that move games.
Yeah. No, it's really, really cool. One of my big supporters on the channel is Thrustmaster.
Mm,
So I'm always testing out all of their racing wheels. And the other day we did a live stream with one of their guys where we tried to teach him how to drive.
yeah.
Shout out to John. It went very well.
Well done, John.
Didn't go very well. There was a
Oh,
lot of
poor John.
crashing. But one of the things we were saying, because they make a ton of flight sim stuff,
Yeah.
we were saying it'd be so much fun to do the Thrustmaster triathlon. And
What's
we
the
do we use me, who's like the car racing guy,
third?
and we get one of their truck driving guys because they've got all the truck sims,
Oh, yes.
and then one of their flight sim guys, and we compete and see who's the ultimate Thrustmaster person.
That is a great idea. I
Yeah.
love that. And actually, you could do a what would it be, a quadathlon? What's a four? Triathlon,
It would be
pentathlon?
quad something.
That's quadlon.
Yeah.
Because when I was at Gamescom, I noticed a huge trend in farming simulators. As in
Yeah.
physical simulators that you know how like motion in sim racing, it's all about these like fine movements so you can feel braking and lockups. Well, in farming simulator, you just sit there and just kind of bounce.
That's incredible.
But then you had people like trying out this kit to kind of like be immersed. They had these huge like control panels and all the weird levers.
So
that they have.
cool.
But then you walk past it, and then up on the stage there were these, like a classic esports stage with a huge screen in the back and two desks with like two teams of four kitted out with their like jerseys with the crazy colors, and they were there with their screens ready to go. And I look on the screen behind them, and there's like a few hundred people watching and cheering, and they're just hooning these tractors over fields and hedgerows, like doing esports farming simulated.
It is incredible. Nuts. Yeah, so cool. I remember, I guess I was at E3 or a Gamescom or something a couple of years ago, and they had a farming simulator booth, and we were doing something with Need for Speed. So we had like Mercedes AMG wide body and
nice.
I think it was like a Datsun wide body and like all these cool cars, right? And farming simulator was like across the way, and they had a bright big John Deere in the middle of their booth, and I was like,
I love that.
One, how did you even get that in here? It's enormous.
Yeah.
And two, it's like, that's the coolest thing. I'd like to drive
Please
that.
fire it up, right?
Yeah.
With Sim Racing Expo, there was like this rev off between Acetec that had an LMP, and I think it was Get Closer Racing had a Radical, and they would just rev it at each other across the hall. I'd love to have like a tractor just in the middle of all that, just like with a totally different like chug sound in the middle.
Incredible. But yeah, so that's basically my story. Throughout the years, I've gone through many bits and bobs of stuff and equipment, and so I'm back on Thrustmaster after
the DD,
I don't know,
right?
10 years. I bought the first one, and now I'm doing this again.
Well, okay, let's use flight sim as our like thread through this conversation, because obviously we speak to a lot of streamers and YouTubers, and I have all these questions about YouTube and tips for people that are listening. But do you know what? Scrap all that. I want to talk about the similarities between the flight sim world and the sim racing world, because there's one that really gets me, right? And I know that you'll have seen this because I know a little bit about the community and stuff that you run, but just a very quick story. So at the weekends, I go gliding, and the first time I went, I met this guy. I'm fairly sure he doesn't listen to my podcast. In fact, he's like 70. I don't think he knows what a podcast is. So I'm going to hope that Colin is not listening, right? So I meet Colin, and Colin's going to be my instructor. I think this is my second or third trip up. And Colin, he's a northeast of England. It was a little, he was hard to break down the first time. I was trying to like get to know him and trying to make like a joke, and I wasn't getting anywhere. I was like, that's fair enough. We're here to learn. I don't need to be everyone's friend. That's cool. And we go up, we do the flight, and he's giving me like really good feedback and stuff. But again, I haven't managed to make the guy laugh yet, and I'm just we just haven't connected. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Anyway, so we go up and we do 2 or 3 flights on this Saturday morning, and at the end of it, he asked me what I do, and I was like, here we go. This is it. Conversation started. So I was telling him that I work in sim racing, and I was telling him what sim racing was, and I was talking to him assuming that he wouldn't know what sim racing was, right? I was saying it's like people like racing cars, but you have a wheel, but it's obviously in your bedroom, and it's simulated, but it's physics based, and you have all these communities, and you have commentators and broadcasters. And at this point, I think I've gone too far. This will have gone straight over his head. And he was like, "Oh, okay, so it's a bit like the virtual airline I fly in." And I was like, "Pardon me?" So again, right, I've made an assumption because the guy I think is late 60s, maybe early 70s, that he knows nothing about gaming. He's like, yeah, I'm on a Discord server and we have a virtual airline, and I'm retired. So in the morning I get up and I join the server, and there's like a whole group of people that do air traffic control, and I'll get given my schedule for the day, and I'll go into the server and I'll ask permission for air traffic control to leave the stand, and I talk to them all the way until I've flown, and then I get passed from one area to the other, which is real people doing air traffic control across a server, across the whole world. And you fly around, and
What?
and I was just like, oh my. And he was talking about, yeah, I've just downloaded a new mod so I can get passengers on the, and I was like, oh, okay, right, this is a guy in his 70s who knows what a mod is. I have made
Yeah.
so many assumptions here.
That's so cool.
It was freaking cool. And the cool thing about it was like this community that I assumed that sim racing was unique, because you have the owners of communities, you have moderators, you have stewards, you have broadcasters, you have commentators, you have engineers, you have livery designers, you have all these people that make these communities what they are. And I had no idea that actually flight simming is basically the same. Like they have shift managers who will give people what their flight routes are. And then you have air traffic control. And these people will sit on air traffic control, like on the virtual radio, if you like, on this Discord server, and just direct planes in and out of their area just for hours and hours and hours, just for fun. And then you think, he'll tell me about like a route he did. It's like, oh, I did Heathrow to Miami. And in my head, I'm like, there must have been hours where you just sat and looked at like artificial clouds just going across the screen, right? But they love it. They absolutely love it. And it's this, he was telling me that he's got friends who are part of the virtual airline, and occasionally he goes down to London and he meets up with them. And I was like, I love it.
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, it's similar to what we've got, right? We've got all the livery designers, all the moderators, all the stewards and commentators that you could imagine. And yeah, similar world. It's kind of surprising for sure.
It is. And it's kind of, I found it incredibly wholesome. But tell us a bit about your community, because one thing I did notice, obviously you studied business at Mass at university, and started your YouTube channel. And I have noticed that there's definitely, you do seem to have tried to create almost like an enterprise around your brand. So you're trying to build more than just the content. So tell us a little bit about your kind of first thoughts and your plans about building YouTube into a proper business.
Yeah, it's a loaded question. Where do you start?
Well, we've got time.
Well, I mean, I think my first thing would be, if you're thinking of it like that, don't. Right? I think it's the wrong mentality to go in with, right? And I think for sure there are things like on the YouTube side and on the business side that you can study and learn and get like feedback on to create bigger and better things and give yourself the best chance of success. Well, let's be honest, at the end of the day, it's a lot of luck and timing. And if you are going to be successful, you just need to like it, right? Because chances are you might not. But if you like it, then who cares, right? At the end of the day, I'm just a guy who likes cars, been playing car games since I was 4 years old. That's basically all I've ever played. And I just really enjoy it, right? And so if we rewind the clocks, back on my first channel, there was no one getting paid making videos, right? It was just something you did for fun. The YouTube partner program didn't exist. There was no Twitch. There was no TikTok. There was no Instagram. People just started it because it was fun. I think my Twitch account was not originally a Twitch account. I think it was a Justin TV account.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Before, so no one was getting paid, right? So I think if you're going in with the mindset that it's going to be a business, maybe not the best idea, right? So just do it because it's fun, right? Saying that, you can be super successful in it, right? There's all of these esports athletes, all of these first party, second party, third party companies that are popping up, all of these creators that are popping up. And obviously on kind of like our side, there's a lot of drivers popping up and making waves like in sim racing, and some are even going to real life racing, which is just kind of crazy. So yeah, it
including
definitely
yourself, right?
Yeah, Yeah, no, I've been doing some real life racing stuff, which is
Second
quite a bit
in
of
your
fun.
first Mayata race. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, that was mega. So yeah, I've been doing all of this sim racing stuff for years and just like cars. And I was like, well, I've always wanted to drive a real car around the track. And doing what we do, we sometimes get invited out to cool events. Like I've done some stuff with Michelin where I've driven like some Audi R8s and BMWs around circuits. I did some stuff with an old company called Robo Race, who I'm not sure is still around.
Okay.
They had like an old LMP electric race car, cool thing. Drove that around the Berlin Formula E circuit.
That's very cool.
And I'm just getting all of these different sorts of invites to things. And I've always been like, that's great, but I want to understand it more. And I want to do better. And I want to actually build consistency. Because when you're going somewhere for a day, you can't build consistency. Like, you can drive around the circuit, but you'll get better in that day. But there's no consistency building there, right? So I wanted to actually learn the physics in real life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it seems to be a logical step for a lot of people. But I just want to rewind a second because you said something there which I agree with and disagree with. You said that this is all about timing and luck. Now, timing, I totally agree with, right? So if you'd started in the sim racing world 10 years ago, given it a good crack for 2 years, maybe nothing would have happened, right? But sim racing in the last couple of years, and I'm talking about the business side of things, in the last couple of years, there's a real spike in growth. So timing, especially like for our business, Grid Finder, like timing has been absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah.
However, I would put it to you that there is very little element of luck, because luck comes to those who put themselves in an opportunity to benefit from luck. But let's call luck opportunities created by being present at the right time at the right place. And I look at your YouTube channel and you posted every single day. So you've been found by these companies, you've been given these opportunities. I don't think it's lucky that they found you.
There's definitely an element of grinding it out, working hard, and doing all of that. Like,
which is why you have to love it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like when I started, I didn't make money for years, and I was putting in hours and hours and hours and buying all this equipment. And I don't know, I was a hockey referee back in the day. That's how I earned my money to buy my laptop that I made, that you saw in that setup video, right? That's how I earned money to buy that and buy a capture card and buy the little Microsoft wheel, just because I liked it, right? And then YouTube suddenly says one day, "Hey, we're gonna start paying people for this." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Great. And I was like, "Sure, whatever." Yeah, I was like, nothing. And I ended up, my first ever check, I still have it. It's like $167 or something like that.
Please tell me it is an actual check.
I did something very cheeky.
Okay.
Very cheeky. So I got my first YouTube check. This was probably 2010, 11, and $167. They send it to me. And it wasn't YouTube who sent it to you. It was Google, right?
Uh-huh.
Google sends me a check. And it's in like this Google envelope. And I open it up. And I'm like, oh, cool, money. So I was like, I'm going to see if I can get another one. So I emailed them and told them I lost it.
Okay.
So I framed the original one.
Right.
And I cashed the second one.
Now, that's interesting because I don't know too much about checks. So I guess you can't cash them in twice, or could you in theory go back to the bank and cash in that first one? You know,
I think they'd probably void the first one.
Okay. And I'm also not saying that you need to right now. I'm not saying that you're like, you know what, if I really needed that $167, I could cash this in now.
Yeah, so somewhere I think that's also at my parents' house, but that was like, it was like, whoa, now they're actually paying people for this. And then it's like, over the years you start to be like, okay, well, this does this and that does that. And you kind of figure out what type of videos you want to make, but also what types of videos resonate well with an audience. And there's a lot of science that goes into it. Like, especially on the short form stuff, there's a lot of like elements going on that are very quick that as a viewer, you're probably just watching going, oh, that's just a video. But for me, I see it when I watch other people's videos. I'm like, oh, well, that's just You're just doing that because this.
Interesting.
And yeah, so there's definitely like science behind the scenes that is going on. Like I said, you can study a lot of
Yeah.
YouTube. That's like the whole Mr. Beast thing. YouTube
Well,
is just numbers and stuff, and
yeah.
you can kind of crack it.
Well, I mean, in the last 10 or 12 years, we've come on so far. And, you were there, the transition where Google started to pay you for these videos. But now this industry of content creation, especially within gaming, has grown so much that now you're paying other people to help grow what you do, which I find absolutely fascinating. So,
Oh yeah.
tell us, like, how that started, right? So at what point were you like, you know what? I think there's room here to build a team around me, because then we can go and scale this even faster, and we can do even better things. We can create more and better
Yeah.
content. What was that process like? And was it scary that first time that you brought someone onto the team and all of a sudden it wasn't Nick, it was Nick and the team?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like you suddenly bring someone on and it's like I don't have a child, but I imagine it'd be like having a child. Like I am
Right.
now responsible for this person.
Yeah.
And it's like if I screw up, I'm screwing over that person and that sucks. Don't
Well,
want
you're
to
on
do
their
that.
CV, right? So, if let's say that's their first job,
Yeah.
and then they join your channel, and then your channel just crashes,
Yeah.
and then they go to their next job, and they're like, look up that first channel, and like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's not a good sign.
Right? So you've got kind of like a responsibility to these people to kind of do well. And I never saw it as so much like because I know some people look at it and go, hire one person and kind of double your output or whatever, because now you
Mm,
have free time for this. For me, it was always, I want to do something that I'm not already doing or do that thing in a better way.
mm,
So whenever we've got like big contests on, we'll reach out to livery people. We'll reach out to kind of like specialists in the sim racing world and be like, we need to write a rule book that like can't be cheated and things like that. Or when we launch the website, we're like, we need a team of writers for this. Um, or on the YouTube side, it's like video editors and this and that. And yeah, you kind of very quickly have all of these people under your wing, and it's like, oh dear, what have I done?
and I guess, like, content creation is so personal, especially
Yeah,
because you're in the content, right? There's some
yeah.
content creators where they'll essentially do the voiceover, but you never see them on the screen, whereas yours is incredibly personal. You see your face during the videos.
Yep.
Was there a fear of perhaps losing a bit of creative control over what you were doing by outsourcing and delegating some of the tasks?
A little bit. Like from a video editing standpoint, for sure, right? Because that's the final product that people see.
Yeah.
And I've never been to film school, but from what I've heard, you learn in film school. If you have like a documentary like F1 Drive to Survive, right?
Mm,
At the end of the season, the Netflix editors have thousands and thousands of hours of footage and audio and this and that. You can turn that and spin it into whatever you want.
yeah.
The only reason you and I complain about Drive to Survive sometimes is because we know the real stories, right?
Yeah.
We know what's actually going on, and we know like we kind of understand the personalities behind it. But for someone who doesn't, right, you can take that and turn it into whatever you want. And
Mm,
it's the same thing with the YouTube video. We might only be recording for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it might be for a YouTube video. But you can still edit that in a very different way to someone else.
tell what that would actually be an interesting project. Filming I don't know, 4 hours of recording of
Yep.
gameplay, and then using that exact same 4 hours of, even with your kind of live discussion as you're doing it, and creating two stories which are totally different. One could be all about, the Porsche in Forza Motorsport is
Yep.
terrible, versus never, one of these, like, never ever do this in multiplayer with the arrow thing that you see all the
Yeah.
time. But you could use the same footage. That would actually be kind of an interesting little
Exactly.
experiment.
That's yeah, you can like for me, I always like to focus on me not being a great driver and stuff because that's kind of my brand, right? But
Mm.
you could take my footage and edit it and make me look like a god gamer, right? If you wanted to.
And do you
That's
want to?
no. No. That's one of the things though when I hire an editor, I'm like Here's like 30 minutes of a stream.
Mm,
Edit it. Let's see what you do. Let's see the story you tell.
that's kind of fun. So you're
And
not,
I'll
you're not,
edit
you're not.
it.
So it's not a technical role; it's a creative role.
100%.
Mm,
100%. Because you tell that story, right? And you figure out all the elements. And while I'm creating those videos, like when I'm streaming them, I'll go in with an idea. I'll never go
mm,
into a thing without an idea. And then sometimes while I'm doing that thing, the idea might change and evolve. And we're like, okay,
mm.
this is the story I'm telling now
Yeah.
instead. And then in the editing, you could be like, well, that doesn't flow super well. Maybe we should change it and tell this story. And that's something you kind of need to realize, right? When you're doing it on the fly. So yeah, 100% creative.
It sounds fun. It sounds very live. It sounds very dynamic. It's not like you make a list of videos you're going to make in the next 2 weeks, and then you just get up in the morning, record them, and then that's work done.
Oh no, 100% no.
That being said, though, um, I've been through, as I said, like your YouTube page, got all the way to the bottom, and it's clean. Like it is so well organized, split into various
Yep.
categories based on the game or the theme. Like your thumbnail has not changed for 6 years, right? So I scrolled down.
Yeah,
and you have
I've
the
been
same
through
board.
3 types,
Yes.
but it's the same.
So
Yeah.
there is clearly a lot of thought that goes into the presentation of the content. Everything like the font. I think the font in all 3 of those is the same. So it was just
Changed a little bit.
It was like
Same
the order
colors.
of the colors,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The colors were the same, but then they changed the
Yep.
orders. Like, how important do you think those elements are to the success of the channel?
So this is one of the things that when I'm doing like consulting calls with some people, this is one of the things that I tell people a lot. The game you're playing is not the product.
Hmm.
You can never have somebody click on a video or stream or whatever because you're playing Forza, you're playing iRacing, you're playing Assetto Corsa. It's cool, right? We can treat those as products, right? People want to see you have fun with it. But for your long-term success, people need to click on those videos because of you,
Yeah.
right? People need to build that relationship with you. And whether that be over a day, over a week, over a month, over a year, right? People are going to build that relationship with you and kind of get adjusted to the way you do things. So if they found you through a Forza video, maybe they'll like your personality enough to watch your iRacing video or watch your whatever video, right? So that's always what I'm encouraging people to do. You have to be bigger than the thing you are doing,
Hmm.
right? And I've always tried to do that in my content. It's a struggle for sure, right? Because at the end of the day, the way I always think of it is I want like we were saying before, I just wake up and say, I find this fun. Let's do
Yeah.
this thing, right? So there's no, oh yeah, this will do this and that will do that. For sure, science there is behind the scenes, but you wake up and you want to play something fun, and you just go with it. You go with the flow.
And it's consistent, right? It
Yeah.
seems to be every day. So, is there an element of like, how to put this, like YouTube meal prep? Do you do like a session where you'll record actually 3 or 4 videos and then they'll be scheduled out across a few days? Or is it just every single day making a video is priority number 1 and then you do
Yep.
calls and stuff around it?
Yeah. So it depends. The more editors you bring on, the more videos you can put out, I guess, technically at the end of the day. But for me, I've always found success in doing kind of 1 or 2 things a day and making that the best thing that you can do. Like I've seen people go on Twitch, for example, and stream for 10 hours and make videos from it. And I physically do not understand how people can do that. Because after 2 hours, I'm burnt. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I can't do it anymore. And it's crazy to me. So I'm always like, we make it short, we make it sweet. That's the best version, and that's it.
Yeah.
Either it comes out and it's a video, or we go, that wasn't good enough, delete it, we try it again tomorrow, or we do something else completely.
I guess there's in the gaming world, you have your on-demand content creators who, like you say, film 4 hours and condense it down to 10 minutes and tell a story. And then you have other people who let's just turn the camera on and play. and their differentiator is that they're talking live with the community, right? So
Yeah.
the differentiator with them is that you go on and you can talk to them, you can ask them questions live when they're playing. So how have you tried to include your community more with your content?
That's actually something funny. I've always wanted to do more, right? That was kind of why I did expansions, right? You can never just stay in one spot.
Mm,
So back in the day, I was like, I'm going to use my hockey referee money and buy all of these Elgatos for everybody. So it was just me and my friends, and we all recorded our gameplay and uploaded that online, and like kind of morphed it into one video so we could see everybody's perspective, right? And then other people started doing that. I was like, okay, so we've got to change that up because now this is like mainstream.
mm,
So I'm going to go to Twitch because I want reactions from people while we're doing it live.
yes.
And that's something you can't really replicate, right? So it was like, how can I integrate people with the content in real time?
Yeah.
So I immediately jumped over to Twitch, Justin TV at the time. And I was like, I want to get people's live reaction to this and make decisions on the fly with people. Whether that be small things like the car or colors, right?
Yeah. And was the
Yeah.
idea to then make an on-demand video that includes it, or was it just for that stream to be the end product?
So the way it actually came about is the first couple videos on my channel were all let's play things because that's just there was no other types of videos, right? So people would just boot up the game and play. So I've got something like 150 episodes on Forza Motorsport 4, right? Which was my game I played back then.
Mm.
And every 50 episodes I wanted to do a special one where we did it live and I played with viewers. There was no Twitch back then.
Yeah.
So that's where Justin TV came around. And I was trying to do it off my laptop and it never worked properly.
Yeah.
But I was like, people seem to really like these because they're in it, they're involved with it, we're making choices on the fly. And we did it for like episode 50, 100, and 150. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I guess it was Horizon that came out and I did a little bit more live streaming with that. And then, then it kind of just took over, I guess, in 2013, 14, 15 or so, when live stream kind of really made that big boom. And then I was like, I kind of just enjoy making videos more from streams, right?
Mm.
It sounds weird to say it. It's like, it's a big thing I have, like, it's a big struggle I have with a lot of like the companies I work with, right? Because they'll be coming in and they'll say, hey, we'd like this many live streams, this many YouTube videos, right? Could you produce this? I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. But could I make those videos like on Twitch?
Mm.
And they're sometimes thinking like, well, this guy just wants to do less work, right? He just wants to stream and,
well, and
make the video from it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get that from your side, but this is just how I do it. I just find it more fun to interact with people on the fly. In my videos, you can see Twitch chat. So if I do something really cool, everyone's like, whoa. If I fall over, everyone's like, L, skill issue.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. Or,
God, you said that with so much pain in your voice.
oh, yeah. Or it's like people go, hey, I think you should try this car. Or sometimes somebody's like, hey, I just found this weird thing. Like, go try it real quick. And sometimes you get very unexpected results. So, yeah, it's fun. It keeps it fresh for sure. So, anyways, that's the long about story of Twitch and live content. It's just, it was an accident, I guess, but I found out I enjoyed it more. So, yeah.
I guess it's kind of like the difference between like acting for films and acting on stage, right? They say that like actors who act on stage, every performance is different because they're performing to a different audience and it's live. Whereas if you're doing it for a film, you could do as many takes as you want, and you're never going to get that kind of you're never going to get as much personality across, which is interesting because obviously you're discussing how the USP for streamers is the personality, not the game. Like you're the product, not the game.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of always been like that. I actually really don't like making videos off stream. Like one of the things I'll sometimes do is make videos about recent news or like new games that are coming out.
Mm.
And those are always fun because you're talking about something brand new and you need to do your best like way to describe it and kind of make it make sense for people who have never seen the thing, right? And those are great videos, but I hate making them
Right.
because it's just I know in my head I need them to be so perfect, and because I'm recording it and not streaming it, I can just do it again. And
I
I
mean,
almost get in my own head because of it, and I just
why
end
not?
up doing it over and over and over and over, and I don't like it. I
Why
would
not?
much prefer to do it on stream.
Why don't you stream the process of making it? That would be fascinating because I reckon so many gamers have watched these videos, like top 10 racing games to watch out
Yeah.
for in 2024 or whatever. Like, if you did a lot, this probably takes you like 10 hours or whatever to make one of those videos. But imagine a live stream where you get to watch somebody like yourself going through, picking the clips, doing
Yeah.
the voiceover, but live. Like, that'd be pretty cool.
So this is actually something I've thought of. Maybe 2024 I want to do that. We'll see.
Or is it like people always say, don't meet your heroes. You don't want people to be too behind the,
Yeah.
through the looking glass. Like, don't let them see all the way behind the curtain. Like, leave an element of mystery. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I just knocked this up in 30 minutes. It's just my like.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of stuff like that too.
Yeah. Okay. So the story, of where you've come from as a hockey referee, doing this for fun with the the Thrustmaster and the laptop by the side of the TV, all the way to now is incredible. And it's taken time, right? It's like 12 years at
Oh, yeah.
least, right? Probably longer, right? That's just the AR12 channel.
Yeah.
But it's resulted in combined over 3 million followers and 1 billion video views. Like,
Yeah.
what do those numbers mean to you?
Too much. It's crazy. It's like imagine being able to like look like I've never had a normal office job, right? But imagine after 12 years you could look back and see everything you ever did on your office job.
I mean,
And
I think for
see
most
what you
people
did
that
on
would
a
be
day.
dull.
Right? But it's like you could look back and see what you did on a random Tuesday in the spring of 2012. I can do that. And it's weird because you can see me kind of change and evolve, right? When I started this, I think when I made my first video, I think I was 13.
You some very cool hair back in the early days.
We don't talk about that anymore. We
Okay.
moved on.
Sorry, we'll edit that out. Liam, edit that out. Nobody go and look.
No, it's all good. All good. But yeah, so you kind of see me, I mean, for me, you kind of see me grow up, right?
Yeah.
Through it. Because I was 13 and now I'm 28. And it's like, whoa. You kind of go through all these changes and you see kind of like what I like change and how my tastes change, right? If you watch, one of my favorite things to do is do customization videos and like build new cars.
Mhm.
I guarantee if you watched one today and you watched one from 10 years ago, my tastes would be so unbelievably different. It would just be weird to see, right? And you're kind of seeing that evolve. So, roundabout way to answer your question, a lot.
Yeah. But almost like 1 billion views.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine what the you could probably do one of those like comparisons where you work out the watch hours or the watch minutes of your videos and then say if you went back in time, like the T-Rex is still alive or like whatever it is. It's
The
an
one I
incomprehensible
find
amount of
that's
time.
always crazy and that blows my mind is views per second. And
Right.
those like 1 billion views over 12 years or whatever, like is something like four views every single second.
Mm.
Every day, every hour, nonstop. For
Yeah.
basically that period of time. Which is just that's weird.
And
That's
it's probably,
really weird.
It's like backloaded in the sense that it's not front loaded that's 4 on average, but that wasn't happening in the first 5 years. It's probably like so now you're probably at what, like 10 or 12 views per second.
Exactly, yeah. No, it's super, super weird to think about and definitely messes with my head. Anytime you put, right, because I can sit here and make a video in my office and kind of nothing can change for me in a sense, right? I could just see numbers go up or numbers go down, right? Nothing physically changes.
Yeah.
But it's always incredible when you do put faces to those numbers. Like I have no problem jumping on a video and that video gets X thousand views or million views or whatever. No problem. Doesn't bother me. I can jump on a live stream and do it. No problem. Fine. But I've been fortunate enough to be able to do some pretty cool events. We did an event in Ireland,
Oh, cool.
and we were on stage in front of 3,000 people. And that was pretty cool because you can see them, but it's not like a one-on-one thing. So that didn't really mess me up.
Yeah.
The one that really messed me up is I was in the UK. My cousin was getting married, and I was like, why don't I do a meetup in London? I'm just going to say in a video, hey, if anyone wants to come and stand outside Harrods in London, just I'll be there for like, I don't know, a bit, and you can say hi. Like, I'll give you a sticker or something. And we had like, I think it was like 600 people show up. And
Oh my
we
goodness.
kind of shut down, you know, that little backside of Harrods there with the little roundabout.
Yeah.
We kind of shut that down. Harrods was all freaking out, going, "What is going on
What
here?"
is
And
going on here?
yeah, and it was like, I can't deal with this. This is too much. And it was like 600 people, and I'm like, this
If
is
you
weird.
if you were streaming and you maxed out a 600 concurrent, you'd probably be disappointed. But then when you go to Harrods and you see them actually physically there watching, it's like, oh my goodness,
This
a
is
lot
too
of
much.
people.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, this is crazy. Yeah,
So now that you're here, right?
Yeah.
You've gone on this journey and you're at this stage now where you're comfortable and you're evolving and you're having a lot of fun with it. Like, has there been a point where you've gone, okay, so this is a thing now, right? This is my thing. What do I want to do with it? Like in the next 10 years, what would I be proud to have achieved in the next 10 years? Whether that be, I don't know, numbers, whether it be revenue, or whether it be events, or whether it be real racing. Like for you, what does success look like when looking back in 10 years' time?
That's a weird question because kind of nothing in a weird sense, right? I just kind of go with the flow and kind of just do my own thing. And I kind of set myself yearly goals.
Okay.
So last year I was like, my goal for this year is to do racing. I want to drive my car on a race circuit. So I just did it. Like I went out and I got a pickup truck and I got a trailer and I signed up to a track day and I took my car racing. And I was like, this is really cool. I had a lot of fun with it. Did another one. Made a video about all that. And then the racetrack that I was at was like, we really like those videos you made for like about like it wasn't about the track. It was just me driving there and driving around the circuit, right? And they were like, this is really cool. We would like to invite you to do racing with us. So that's where they put me in the MX5. They were like, here's an MX5. We're going to give you an instructor and you're going to go and do your first race. I was like, Jesus Christ. Okay. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I had to go and buy all the gear. Didn't have any gear. Had to go do all that. And then they were like, that was really cool. Why don't we do this even bigger? And why don't we give you a GR86, a brand new one for next year? And we're going to customize it and turn it into a race car. It'll be your race car and you'll drive it for the entirety of next season. And what's really cool about it is people can rent it and try it for themselves.
That is
And
very cool.
you can kind of promote it that way. And I was like, that sounds really cool because that'd be fun for me. And like, I can invite friends over to try it and other creators out to try it. And yeah, just so cool. So that was my goal. And that's kind of how I did it.
It's nuts, actually, because the world of motorsport is starting to take notice of the power of content creation and these gaming communities. Like there's a few examples of sim racers who are now getting racing opportunities. So at the weekend, right? I was very like this is a bit mind blowing sentence, but I was at the Austin Grand Prix watching the Formula One, sat next to Ian Porter, who's obviously Crimsix, the Call of Duty player. He's because of obviously his following, but not even in racing games, in Call of Duty, he's now getting opportunities to go racing next year in a series that is totally unachievable for most people because of the budget that you would need in order to go running. Like it's crazy, but because of the character that he is, the opportunity comes to him, because obviously racing is great, but until Drive to Survive, it suffered with one huge problem, which was you couldn't really get behind the helmet. You couldn't really work out who was racing. And so
Yep.
then people were less interested in the stories because the stories didn't have characters. So now people like
Yep.
yourselves and Ian Porter are racing because the race series and the race teams understand that if they're in the car, there is a story to be told. And if there's a story to be told, then there's content to be made. And if there's content to be made, there's marketing opportunities. And we need marketing opportunities to go racing. It's
Yep.
bonkers.
It's such a crazy world. It's kind of crazy to think about all the changes that have happened over the past couple of years, but yeah, that's a huge one. Like for me, like we were saying before, it's like you need to get behind the helmet. And I kind of realized that as well for my videos a couple of years ago. Um, I always wanted my videos to be very accessible to
Mm,
people. So some people will try and be very try hard and race and get the best lap time and do all that, and
yeah.
that's great. But I was like, how can I tell the story of these cars, right?
Mm, yeah.
So when I'll do one of those customization videos, I might know everything about the new Lamborghini. But hold on a second. If you don't know what a Lamborghini is, why does it doesn't mean anything to you?
You have to tell the story.
So let me explain that
Mm,
story to you and like why it's so special. And that's always something I've tried to do with my videos. So I've always got this thing, fun facts. This wouldn't be an AR12 video without any fun facts, right? So it's one of those things that I always jump into, and I'm always like, this is why this car is so cool. This is why I like this car so much. I know you might not, you might know everything about cars, but you might not like this car. But here's why I like it and why it's special to me. Or if you're somebody who knows nothing about cars, here's why you might like it, right? Kind of trying to tell that story, kind of get in like behind the helmet, right? Same sort of deal.
fascinating. And it makes so much sense, right? It makes so much sense, but it has to be a conscious effort because I think unless it's a conscious effort, and there's an element of planning, right? Like I know you say that you're having fun, but you also said that you don't just go and play a video without an idea of what play a game without an idea of what
Yeah.
the story is going to be. So there's certainly an element of planning and understanding. I heard once, I think it was we had Chris Hay on the show, who's done a lot of like Assetto Corsa modding videos, and he did a lot of ACC like tutorials and track guides, and like the quality of his production is absolutely fantastic. He really cares about everything like color and camera lenses and focus and lighting and stuff.
Nice.
It's really, really cool. But I remember he once said that every one of his videos, he starts with the title of the video and then work backwards. So before he even starts recording,
Yep.
this is what the title is going to be, and an idea for what the thumbnail will look like. So then he's
Yep.
got the hook, and then when he's doing the video, everything is kind of like linking back. So I guess it's an art to be able to combine genuinely having fun whilst you're just racing and playing the game, but
Yeah.
keeping in mind that you have to stick to a single thread so that it's followable and accessible.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're always kind of walking that fine line. Like in video games, you definitely do kind of have to work backwards. Um, Sometimes you'll try to go in blind and surprise yourself on the fly. Like if I know a new Lamborghini's coming out, a new Lamborghini's cool car, everyone wants to see it. Kind of don't need to think of the hook beforehand,
Mm,
just because
yeah,
it's a genuinely cool thing, right?
yeah,
Everyone's kind of already up to speed with that. But if you've got something kind of lesser known, you do need to definitely work backwards from that and go, okay, well, this is the thing I'm going to do. How can I get there in an interesting way?
mm,
Right. And if you watch my live streams, you'll kind of see it happen in real time, right? Because it's a live stream. There's no
oh,
editing.
just protracted, right?
Yeah,
Over a longer
exactly.
period. Yeah,
Yeah. So you'll see all of that happen, which is just kind of weird. It's a very weird way to do a live stream, but you see me film B-roll in front of you,
yeah.
which is weird, right? No one's doing that.
But it's interesting. It's
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But then you said that that you want your videos to be accessible. But a large part of the success is not just the videos, but the brand, and you are the brand, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of want your brand to be accessible. So if you're giving this behind the scenes insight into how you make the on demand content, then it's only strengthening the accessibility of the brand as well as the content that comes out of the live streams.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the other reasons why I don't care about being the best or the fastest. Like, it's cool, and the people who do it are great and like super talented.
Mm.
But for me, I just don't care. Like, I've started my videos off by saying, you only clicked on this video because you wanted to feel better about your own driving, didn't you? Right? And just like making jokes about it, right? And what's actually really nice about it is there is never any pressure on me. Nobody expects me to do well.
Yeah.
Nobody expects me to win a race. So it's like when I win a race, everyone's like, whoa, that
Big
happened.
underdog story, right?
Exactly. But if I don't win, then it's like, oh, well, he's the guy who loses all the time, right? And there's no pressure, which is kind of really nice. But yeah, going back to your question, in the real life sense, you never need to manufacture a drama, right? Driving a real life car,
Yeah.
it just kind of happens.
They'll do it for you.
Exactly, right? So in the last race of the season I had when I was testing the GR86, they were like, hey, just drive it around in the race and see what you think, give us some feedback, and we'll kind of make it your introductions story to what's happening next year. And I was like, cool, no problem. We go out, like I'm in the car, we go out for qualifying. We have like 4 laps, and a Mustang crashes immediately. Classic Mustang. Puts it into the wall. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, back into the pits we go. And we had to wait like 10, 15 minutes or something for them to repair the wall and take the car off the track and everything like that. Driver was fine. Anyways, go back out, do qualifying again. I'm like, cool. So all the cars like line up in the parking lot, and they're like, hey, you need to grid there, and you need to grid over there, like depending on where you finish and stuff, and class. And so I go up to the lady, and I'm like, where did I qualify? Like, what was my time? She's like, what's your name? I'm like, I'm Nick. And I'm like, how'd I do? She's like, I don't have a Nick on my paper. I'm like, that's weird. I'm right there. I'm driving the 86. And she's like, well, I've got an 86, but it's being driven by Anthony. I'm like, I don't think my name's Anthony.
Right.
And I was like, oh, anyways, what time did Anthony do? She's like, well, he did a 10-minute lap time. I'm like, I'm supposed to be the skill issue man, but I don't think I did a 10-minute lap. Like, I wasn't driving around the Nürburgring. Right?
Slowly.
And I was like, wait a second. Something, when the Mustang crashed, my transponder in the car kind of glitched. And it found me going onto the track, but never coming off.
Right. So you're still
so
in
the clock
lap.
was ticking the entire time I was in the pits. And because we had a shortened qualifying, we only got a short amount of time, my transponder never registered a lap time for me. So it said 10 minutes for my lap.
It's not
so I was
great
like,
for the
okay.
ego, that.
Yeah, I was like, well, we were kind of doing testing. We kind of wanted to know how fast it could go around the circuit. No one's ever driven it before. And I was like, well, that's kind of disappointing, but I'll start from the back. Like, I don't care. Like, whatever. And I started from the back, and then that was your drama, right? You've now got this rapid car driven by a man who has no idea how quickly it goes. It's never driven around the circuit on like a lap time before in a race. And we're just going to kind of figure it out on the fly and see what happens. And I ended up in a 30-minute race overtaking 9 cars or so. I say it 9.5 because I was side by side with an MX-5.
Oh, it counts. It counts.
Yeah, that counts. Yeah. I take that. But yeah, it was like drama just happens, right? You don't need to manufacture that. It just exists in motorsport.
Yeah. Motorsport is very well queued up for that. I remember my first race. I did a series in it. I don't even know if you have these cars in America because you like big cars, and this is like tiny to you, but it's a Ford KA, like a little bubble thing.
Yeah.
Right? It was an endurance series. There's like 50 cars on the grid, and the first time I went out for qualifying, obviously incredibly nervous, right? First proper session in motorsport. And I get to the grid, and they're kind of doing that. They come and check all the cars, and we didn't have our fire extinguisher was not properly connected. So they're like, you're going to have to go back to the paddock and then come back again. I was like, oh my God. Okay. So I'm already nervous, and now I'm even more nervous. I'm like, I'm going to miss the qualifying. And then I realized that I'd never put this car into reverse before and could not get it into reverse. And I was in the middle of all these cars and had to do this very awkward 3-point turn. I was like grinding the clutch on the way out, just shaking on my way through the paddock. And I was like, I don't know which way to go. And there's just people everywhere in the paddock, and I'm just driving, and everyone's expecting to see and it was horrible. But a lot of drama, a lot of fun.
Great learning experience, though.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Nick, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate you joining us for this podcast. I feel like I have done a disservice to our listeners. So I want to ask you just one more question. So a lot of our listeners will be hoping to get some real great insights from you about content creation and YouTube, etc. And we haven't done a lot of that because honestly, I can't believe this hour has absolutely flown by. I can't believe we're at the end already. I've just realized what the time is. So if you can give maybe 3 top tips for people who have got a small channel, maybe they've got 150, 200 followers, but they really want to make it, what tips would you give them?
Okay. So, number 1, do it for the right reason, do it for fun. Don't do it for money. If you're having fun, regardless of what happens, you've had a good time. You can make millions or you can make nothing. At the end of the day, you've had fun, right? Cool. Number 2, I think would be just continue to do it, right? Some people get kind of discouraged if they don't have 1 million subscribers in 6 months or 20,000 views in 24 hours or whatever it is. I don't know. Whatever. Just keep doing it. Keep grinding. I'm on my, 10, 15 YouTube channels?
Yep.
And I started when I was 13, 28, 15 years to get to where I am. So just kind of keep doing it. And just keep grinding, right? Keep having fun. And then number 3, kind of find your niche, right? If you want to be the try-hard boy, be the try-hard boy. Got to beat everyone. A little hard, right? Some people are very, very quick.
Yeah.
If you want to be the skill issue guy, go ahead, do it. If you want to be the car customization guy, go for it. If you want to be the guy who puts on the best car shows, be that guy. If you want to be a Tallman, put on some crazy events, be that guy. I don't know. Just there's so many different opportunities, right? And you can kind of do whatever you want, right? You're not limited to that one thing. You can go out and do whatever you want. So just do it and try it all and see what you like.
So to summarize, have fun, keep having fun, and do what you want. I love all that.
Yeah. There you go. Great science.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your time coming onto the Sim Sundays podcast. Thanks. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having me.